Hello everyone. Next program is based on strings. Let's get started. Have a look at the title. It says design and develop a C program using functions to implement string operations like comparison, concatenation, and string length. Do not use string handling functions, which means you cannot use the built-in functions for performing these operations, but you have to write the logic yourself. Description: you ask the user to enter two strings and then perform the three operations that is mentioned in the title. The method used here is parameter passing technique and the concept of strings. These are the steps to be followed. Step 1, read two values of strings. Step 2, calculate the length of each string and display the value on the command prompt. Next step, join both the strings and store it in a third string. Fourth step, compare both the strings by calling the function. And finally, display whether the strings are same or not. If you have noticed these function names, f1 underscore length, f2 underscore concatenate, f3 underscore compare, these are just names. You can give any name to your functions. Let's get started with the program. The first step is to include standard input output file stdio.h. After that, you have your function declarations. So the first function is finding the length of a string. So the return type will be int followed by name of the function. I have named my function as f1 underscore length. I want to find length of a string. So at a time, I'll be using only one string. This is the declaration of first function. The second function is concatenation. Let's say this is f2 underscore concat. This is the name of my function. I am joining two strings, so my parameters will be two string arrays. Let's say S1 and S2. These are the two string arrays that I'll be taking as input, and it is not returning anything, so void. Third one compares both the strings. So name of my function is f3 underscore compare. Again, here we are comparing two strings, so I'll copy paste both the strings from here and close it with a semicolon. After this, these are the declaration of the functions. Now you can start with your main function. Okay, inside main function, first we need to read two strings. We will take the values from the user and store it in the string array. So char s1, s2. These are two character arrays. I have to find length for both of these. So int length 1 and length 2. Extra variables we'll declare later as and when required. Step 1, ask the user using printf statement to enter string 1, or you can ask the user to enter the first string. Using getAs function, you can store it in the array s1. Again, we'll be repeating these two statements for the second string. So enter string 2 and it will get stored in s2. Okay, both the strings have been taken and it has been read and stored in the array. Now you need to find the length of each of these strings. So length 1 is equal to, give a call to the function f1 underscore length by passing the first source string. So I'm calling the function f1 underscore length by its name and I'm passing variable s1. This is the first string. So when I give a call to s1, this function will calculate the length of this string and the length will be stored in length 1. Repeat the same step for the second string. Make minor changes. This time it is length 2, the same function, but now the argument changes to s2. Print the results on screen. Let's not forget to use backslash n so that it prints each statement on new line. Okay, length of string 1 percentage %d. So this value will come from length 1. Second statement, again, I'll copy paste the same printf statement. Length of string, this time it is string 2 percentage %d, and it will come from the variable length 2. Now I need to give a call to the other two functions to perform concatenation and comparison. So to give a call to concatenation, I need to call it with this name. So I'll call the function f2 underscore concat. I want to join two strings. So I'll be passing two string variables to this function, which is s1 and s2. Whenever you pass an array to a function, you pass it using their names. Okay, s1, s2. Next, you need to give a call to f3 underscore compare. This is the third function which will compare both the strings s1 and s2. Again, giving a call to arrays by using their names. The main function is done. Now you need to define all these functions, all the three functions. So let's start off with the first one. I'll copy paste the declaration and put it back in definition, opening and closing bracket for the function. Okay. To find the length of the string, you first need to start counting the letters from the first letter itself, that is from the 0th position. So I have a variable which will do the counting. Let's say I, the count is initially 0, while we are going to use while loop to loop through the entire array to find the length of the string. So while the variable used here is s, so I will also be using s inside my function. While s is not equal to, this will be s of I, because we are counting each and every value in this array. So s of 0, s of 1, s of 2, and so on. So while this count is not equal to backslash 0, keep on counting. So keep on counting is written by writing I plus plus. So this while loop, this entire thing is while loop. It will start from the 0th position and it will keep on counting till the string reaches the null value, backslash 0. If it is true, it will keep on incrementing the value of I. The moment s of I becomes equivalent to backslash 0, then it will come out of this while loop and it is going to return the count I. Okay, this is how length works. Now let's write the definition for the second function, which is concatenation. This is the second function definition. I'll remove the semicolon, opening and closing bracket for the function. Now we want to join both the strings and store it in the third string. So let's create S3, third string of greater length, greater than S1 and S2. Let's say 50. After that, you have the local variables I and j. Now let's start reading the values from S1 and let's start storing it in S3. Again, using a while loop. While S1 of I is not equal to backslash 0. So till S1 of I, till it is not equal to backslash 0, keep on reading the values and keep on storing it in the new variable S3. So here I'll write S3 of I is equal to S1 of I. So the value of S1, every letter of S1 gets copied in S3 using this while loop. You also have to move the pointer to the next position, so I plus plus. It will take you to the next location. So when I is 0 initially, I did not initialize it here. I'll declare both I and j as 0. So S1 of 0 gets copied in S3 of 0, then I plus plus. S1 of 1 gets copied in S3 of 1, again increment, and this will go on till it reaches the null value. So S1 string has been copied in S3. Now the next part is to copy S2 value in S3. I'll copy paste this entire while block and make the changes here. Now I'm copying S2, this time with a new variable j, S2 of j. In the next line, this will become S2 of j gets copied in S3 of I plus j. Now the reason why it is I plus j is because in the starting position, S1 value has been copied in S3. If I write only j here, then all the previous value will be overwritten by the new string. So to avoid overwriting of values in the new string of S2, so to avoid overwriting in S3, we are writing I plus j. So the first string remains intact, and from the next position, S2 value gets copied in S3. So S3 of I plus j is equal to S2 of j, and this time it will be j plus plus. Both the strings have been copied in S3. Now at the end, you need to add one more letter, which is backslash 0. So once both the while loop are written and copied, you will write S3 of I plus j is equal to backslash 0. By doing this, you are completing the array after copying string S1, S2, and followed by null character. This is related to the second function. At the end, print the final answer on screen by using printf. I'll say concatenated string is percentage %s, and this value comes from S3. Not to forget to print every statement on new line. Now let's start with the third function, comparison. Remove the semicolon, opening and closing bracket. Okay, in the third function, you're comparing two strings. Again, here we'll require while loop. Okay, now in this while loop, there are three parts. First, you need to check every letter of string 1 with every letter of string 2. So while S1 of I is equal to S2 of I. So I'm checking whether the first letter of S1 matches with the first letter of S2, second letter of S1 matches with second letter of S2, and so on. Let's move on to the second part. The second condition says S1 of I should not be equal to backslash 0. This means S1 of I cannot get over before S2. So the first string shouldn't be smaller than S2. That is what this condition is checking for. First string shouldn't get over before S2. Now let's move on to the third part. The third part is similar to the second part. It says the second string shouldn't get over before the first one. So S2 of I should not be equal to backslash 0. I'll remove the space so that you can understand the difference. This is the first part, checking for each and every letter. Second part, you're making sure that the first string doesn't get over before the second. And the third part, you're making sure that the second string doesn't get over before the first one. Inside the while loop, you will just keep moving ahead and keep checking every letter. Okay. Now, finally, you want to check whether the strings are same or not. So for that, you have if condition. If S1 of I is equal to backslash 0, we are checking the last position. Once the string has been looped through, at the end, the value of I will be the last position. So we are checking for the last position. Is S1 of I equal to backslash 0? That means at the end, do you see backslash 0 for the ith position? And also check for the second string. Is S2 of I also equal to backslash 0? That means at the end, suppose the string gets over, S1 gets over at position 4 and S2 also gets over at position 4, then we are checking is S1 of 4 equal to backslash 0, and if S2 of 4 is also equal to backslash 0. That means printf, the strings are same. If both the strings get over at the same position, we will print the message the strings are same. Not to forget backslash n. If not, if the condition fails, then in that case, you will print the message strings are not same. Otherwise, strings are not same or strings are different. So this completes the third function. Compile it. So it is asking you to save it. I'll call this as string underscore functions dot c. The file has been compiled. Okay, it is asking for the first string. Let's say the first string is pine, second string is apple. So length of string 1 is 5, string 2 is 6, concatenation is, there is a space here. Wait, I'll execute this again. String 1, string 2. Yeah, the reason why I was getting an extra value was because of the space which I had given here. So string 1 is pine, which is 4 letters. String 2 is apple, which is 5 letters. After concatenation of these two strings, this is the third string, S3, which is joining both the strings, pine and apple together. And both the strings are different, they are not same. That is a message which will be printed on screen after comparison. I hope you all have understood the code. Thank you.